Well, we're going to grab Tim. We just had him on before the top of the hour, and then the music was running, and I think Tim was just getting up to the climactic kind of revelation of the story of Ghost to Ghost AM tonight. So, Tim in San Diego, so if I were to give a headline to this story, the headline is, your mother saw your ghost, saw you as a ghost when you died on the operating table.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what happened was...
Ghost to Ghost AM, this is Ian Punnet. Let's go to Lori, who's been waiting in British Columbia on the international line on Ghost to Ghost. Lori?
Hi, Ian.
Hi.
I will keep this one short, okay? About 6 years ago, I lived and worked out in like a little bed and breakfast. There was a small restaurant and store, and I worked there as a cook. And 2 years before I had even started working there, the previous owner had died of a heart attack right outside of the kitchen. Anyways, I saw this guy everywhere. And one day, I was in the kitchen prepping out for dinner, and there was not a soul in the restaurant or the store. It was really, really quiet. And I was working, on, the island in the middle of the kitchen, doing prep work. And I hear somebody coming in from the restaurant into the kitchen right in front of me kind of thing, going through the push doors to get into the kitchen and lowering a tray of dishes and stuff. And I look up, and there's no one there. And then,
anything like that would have sent them.
No. But it was like a spoon and a fork came flying right across at my head.
Wow.
I know.
Going Ghost to Ghost with Dean on a wild card line in Tampa. Go ahead, Dean.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. How are you doing tonight?
Happy Halloween, Dean.
Happy Halloween, sir. In fact, I'm getting chills as I'm on hold thinking about the story back in the summer of '85.
We're doing something right if your own story is scaring you. So we're off to a good start.
It is. In fact, it's very surreal, sir. In fact, as I'm thinking about it on the whole part of it, I'm definitely experiencing some interesting emotions. But getting to the point of the story, sir, I just moved down to Grapevine, Texas. I had just gotten upon a lady by the name of Clarity. And I found her very fascinating. And it was just that the one thing I noticed, though, is we had just gotten to the party, and she was very insistent on leaving. And I just met her. She seemed like a really great girl. And yet, it's like one of those fleeting moments where you're thinking, you just had the door open, but yet now she's closing the door. And then she tells me, and sir, the most amazing thing happened. I'm thinking, I have no idea where I'm going. And suddenly I see a sign that says Oklahoma, 35 miles. And I'm going, that can't be good. So she goes, oh, hold on. She goes, take a right. So I'm thinking, oh, thank God Almighty, she knows where she's going. So we're suddenly in Denton, Texas. I'm happy. I'm awake. I'm good. I'm ready to drop her off. She goes, well, let's just make one stop. I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm still pretty gullible. So we go to an apartment complex, and there's a hill right by the parking lot. And she goes, well, we just need to go over the hill, and I want to show you something. I mean, she's very, Ian, she's very persistent. It's just all about, I felt like she was on a mission.
And then they realizing the clacking that they're hearing on the dance floor are not his shoes, but of hooves, and that there's a poof and a disappear, and then the smell of sulfur, and they've never, took them a long time to get the smell of sulfur out of the dance hall, and then the burn in the floor is still there. Story I will read verbatim. It says here, it was submitted by a woman who said, this story was told to me by my grandmother. It happened when she was about 40 years old. She was at a wedding dance, newly divorced, still very attractive. She was approached by a dark-haired gentleman, very tall and attractive. She described him as looking like a movie star. He walked up to her, wearing a long black overcoat, and held out his hand. She said he never spoke a word, but she was so amazed that this handsome man wanted to dance with her that she accepted. She said that he was an incredible dancer, very strong. He whispered for her to come outside the dance hall with him and come to his car. Luckily, my grandmother wasn't that kind of a lady. She refused, and he simply stopped in the middle of the dance floor and walked out. Now, my grandmother was turning to go back to her seat when her friend ran up to her and began pointing at the departing stranger. And that's where they saw, below his pants, black shoes had now become black hooves. The black hooves were below red, hairy legs, and swishing underneath the rim of his jacket was a long, red, hairy tail with a red tip. And the man turned to them as if he had sensed them and